What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Baseball Dojo, sponsored by FanDuel. As always, I'm here with the man, Michael Fisher from Codify, and I'm, of course, Pitching Ninja. What is happening, Mr. Fisher?
What's going on? Went out in the wild with your shirt on, and
everybody was asking for autographs, weren't they?
Yeah, a few people were until they realized I was a Pitching Ninja. So
yeah, you're a lot taller.
Like, there's
I'm
no
better
beard,
looking,
so.
though.
Yeah.
What's up, Jacob? We're doing this live for anybody that's listening to this on Spotify or Apple and looking for questions. This will be fun. What had jumped out at you this week, Mr. Fisher?
Oh gosh, a lot. Lot of interesting interactions with guys I work with. It's that weird time of year where it's funny. Like the guys who are having better years are starting to have their confidence. Hey, guys and girls and whoever else are starting to have their confidence waver a little because the better. It's funny. The better. It's a Blake Trinan syndrome. The better you are, then the more that when you get hit a couple times, it sticks out. It's fascinating. And I'm like, I keep going like, look at your stats. Look at your stats. It's going to happen. I sent a guy a video this morning of my 5-year-old granddaughter swinging wildly with her eyes closed at a ball overhead and barreling it up. And I'm like, look, it happens. Okay. Like if somebody goes down and gets a splitter that bounced off the plate, it's like, don't stop throwing your splitter.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting phenomenon because you wouldn't think it. You'd be like, hey, I've had a great year. This is awesome. But if you seemingly are bulletproof and then a bullet gets through, all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, what's going on here?
That's right.
And yeah, I hadn't even thought about that, but baseball's so much mental. I see somebody asking about Ben Joyce. Has anything jumped out at you about Ben Joyce? Like, to me, it is all about confidence. I watch him on the bump now, and dude struts around, feels it. You can always tell he knows it was a good pitch. He like, oh, grab his belt buckle after a K. I've been watching him for so long, so I pick up on these little things. But the addition of that splinker has made, ever since he's done it, he's been virtually unhittable. And I still think he's leaving something on the table. I think his four-seam fastball, I think his fastball could play a little better. And I bet you he works on that in the offseason. And next year, I am predicting that dude may become, the most unhittable dude in baseball.
Oh yeah, just stay healthy. He's getting a lot closer to a mix where, like, he could throw the fastball all the time and you're not going to be comfortable, but at least you can get ready and time yourself and go. But now it's like, now what? And you see some of this. You see some of the swings. It's like you got to go all in on one of them, and then what? That doesn't work. So.
Well, he's definitely thrown some splinkers that look like flat out splitters. Last game, it was crazy. And when you tunnel that with his fastball, and then, working some sliders, it's just not, you're right. It's not comfortable trying to face 103 to 105, regardless. But I actually think he could make it a little bit more uncomfortable. I think his fastball could profile a little better, especially with that arm slot, and make it even nastier. But I would not tinker with that during the season. I would keep doing what he's doing. And, although then again, what did they have to lose, right?
Yeah, I mean, that velo and being able to put it anywhere near the plate is great. I mean,
so
back when you were throwing 99, I mean, it was
it was mind blowing, but that was in the 1920s, and nobody had seen 99. It was 99 kilometers.
All right, that's
and it was the first time anybody had used the kilometer scale in baseball. Was when I was pitching in 1920. So somebody said this, and I totally agree. The other day, actually, when I saw him throw back-to-back 105s, I swear to God, I expected the next pitch to be 106 and to just absolutely freak out. And it was only 103, but he will. I really think he will throw 106 at some point in his career. And that's saying a lot because I still view Aroldis Chapman's mechanics as I think he's the ultimate throwing machine. I don't think anybody is ever like maxed out their mechanics as much as he has, at least from my eyes. Like, again, it's all personal, whatever, but he moves so fast. He's so coordinated. He's so strong that I think Chapman's mechanics are pristine. Joyce is more of just a monster that just rears back and throws, and you can get it done either way. Like, his mechanics are good. It's not Aroldis Chapman good to me.
Right. Let's talk in 15 years and see if he's still throwing 103. It's insane.
Yeah, that's the thing is it's paid off. And Chapman's traded off some of his mobility for some strength over the years because he is jacked. Like that dude, you see him in person and he is an absolute monster. And he used to be kind of thin and just really, really a fast mover. And now he's
Right.
kept his velo by working on strength.
Right. And he's got a strong family behind him. Apparently he's close to his grandmother. So,
Dude,
he
I
has
am
a
not
soft
the
place.
one saying
Apparently
that
has a soft place to land.
That's inappropriate, Fisher.
What's that?
It's you. It's you.
What happened?
That guy is Michael Fisher from Codify.
What
This
happened?
is Pitching Ninja. Pitching Ninja will never say anything.
I'm pro
Robert
family.
Chapman.
What's the problem?
Why is Tarik Skubal so good? Let us count the ways. I'll go first and you can go second.
I'll just say the same thing, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, probably so. But it's a combination of number one, he throws really hard. He has a good idea of where it's going to go. He told me he's not all about command per se, but it's about control and throwing the ball in the zone, competing, knowing where his misses tend to be, which allows him a little more confidence, as well as his seam shifted wake changeup that I posted something yesterday about how different it is from Cole Reagan's, who has a great changeup too, traditional pronated changeup, kind of like you think of what Devin Williams does, but less. And then you have Tarik Skubal, who does what Chris Sale is doing now, which is the kind of cutting. You're not really throwing a cut changeup, but you're thinking about cutting as a cue to get it on the seam shifted wake path to allow that to do the work. Another guy that jumped out at me, Davis Martin, has been like, I view his changeup as a real up and coming pitch. And I'm a changeup fan, savant. Not savant. I don't think that's the right word. I'm a changeup fan and have done a video on the best changeups over the last 40 years. And I'm seeing some really cool things with changeups, that and splitters. That's just a lot of fun to watch. I'll let you answer now.
Right. Definitely big on the changeup, and the data has helped us all appreciate that this is a 3-dimensional situation with a bat and a ball. And we've really seen how much difference it can make. Skubal, just go watch a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. He's always been good, but you can see the confidence ramping up. And man, the one thing I've learned in dealing with these guys that, that's so important. You might be throwing your third best pitch according to the math, but you believe it's your best pitch, and it's your best pitch. And he's going to the salad bar and going, what do I want to do now? And just picking great dishes to go against every guy. And he's got a great toolkit to work with. And life has got to be good, man, to take a mound with that stuff going on.
So my favorite thing is pitchers that you can tell pitch with a lot of confidence. And he is one of those guys. He's himself out on the bump. When he does well, he absolutely screams and shouts and gets excited. And you know what? Get the fans in the game. Like, I love it. Dude is a competitor. Huge fan. Clearly the Cy Young Award winner this year. I know. Who would you have second, though? Like, does Clase have a shot at being second in the Cy Young race?
Oh, that's a good question. He might be. I mean, if you look historically at like which relievers are even considered, it had to be someone, shut down, and he's as shut down as it gets. I mean, it's been a year since, the Guardians haven't lost all year going into the 9th with the lead. So ultimately lost.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, I think he should get some consideration. I would, obviously usually it's a starters award, and it should be. They pitch most of the innings.
Right.
But what do you have there? You have Logan Gilbert, who deserves some consideration. Corbin Burns deserves some consideration, obviously. Just always good. It's not his best year, though. I don't feel like Corbin is pitching as well as he has in other years. So, and Seth Lugo will get some attention, some votes. But Clase is having an all-time year, so it's going to be kind of hard to not give him consideration.
True. Lugo's kind of wobbled, and I did smile. See Brent Honeywell pitch for the Dodgers.
I did see that. We had talked about it. Did make my day. We need more screwballs.
I felt so bad, man. Yes. I think it got left on the cutting room floor, but
It
We're
did.
sitting there talking like, look at the screwball. It's amazing. This guy's something. And like, that's his career though. It's just like this crazy path of, and what is that? What has it done to his development? But
Yeah.
really the main thing is you look at the Dodgers and the issues that they have and like line up their pitching results for the last 2 years versus before. It's like, it's not bad, but it's what, a 106, 107 ERA plus versus 125, 122, whatever. I mean, they have a lot of issues. They use a lot of pitchers and they have the best record in baseball.
Yeah, and they're going to have more problems because they're hoarding
Well,
pitchers at this point. So at some point, they're
well,
going to have too many pitchers and
nope,
save
nope,
somebody for somebody
nope.
else.
Now I'll argue. Yeah, can't. It's not
Right,
possible.
but they deserve the right to have their career. Like, what are you going to do? You keep Dustin May on the shelf? You don't
Keep
let him
them
see
on the shelf?
I don't know. Like, you have
No,
all
I
these
mean,
guys. You're not going to go to a 9-man rotation.
you sound like a Braves fan.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Maybe they should have hoarded some.
I got a Braves question for you. So you go down to a 3-man rotation. Who's your 3-man
Yes.
rotation?
Oh,
Is it?
jeez.
I was just talking about that today on my daily show. That'll come out after this, guys. Anybody on YouTube, I will be dropping that after this. This is not this is not replacing the daily show. But between Ronaldo Lopez and Spencer Schwellenbach,
Mhm,
and then you have Charlie Morton too. Like, if you're
mhm.
going
I
to
was thinking about
3,
Morton, all right?
right? Like Morton with his experience, Raylo, I would never pick against. Like, he's just dominant. Schwellenbach is proven to be a stud, and I don't think
Right.
that's a fleeting thing. I think he is a legit rotation member.
I think Lopez put you in a tough situation where you look at the peripherals and you keep wondering, how do you have a 2 ERA and a 4 FIP and a whatever is expected and this and that, but he has a 2 ERA. It's like at some point you're like, I'll explain it later. I don't want to get lynched by not starting my 2 ERA guy. So I mean, he almost has forced their hands with if he's healthy at that time with the results.
He's come through in every big game too. It's not
Right.
like anybody's getting to him. But Schwellenbach has also shown his way of pitching with his back against the wall. I'm just rooting for one of the good rotations to be in the postseason for my own sake because it makes better content when I have good pitchers. And since the Mariners don't appear to be helping me out here,
No.
because they have a phenomenal pitching staff and would be so much fun to watch. And I really would love to see that. But yeah.
Yeah, I watched them and how we know how good they are and how good they've done, and maybe not as good as we thought. But what's the impact when you're always pitching in a close game or behind? What has that done to their numbers? So
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, that staff, if you can keep them together, they're gonna win a lot because
oh
that
yeah.
is so deep. I
Oh
see
yeah.
someone asking about Brian Woo's changeup, why it's so good. Brian Woo overall, his everything is really good. Like, I think his sweeper is really taking a turn for the better.
Right.
Sweeper turn, get it? But his fastball also, like, that's the thing that most of the staff starts with. There is just they just have those guys that love to pound the zone and want to beat you with their best stuff in the zone without focusing necessarily on chase pitches. And that's probably what makes his changeup so good, is his ability to, get you in swing mode because you're not nibbling. He is dominating.
Yeah, it's hard to say who's the most underrated, but on that staff, but I always think of him first for sure.
Yeah. The other thing someone said, what is Tarik Skubal's best pitch? Tarik Skubal's best pitch to me is his changeup. Like, his changeup, I think he told me he felt it was his best pitch. His slider's real good, but his changeup is his best pitch.
Right. Right. Always think about what it's like to face a guy, and if you took the changeup out, it would change up a lot of things. I'm trying to keep up with you. It would change up a lot of things, though. There's no doubt, and especially when a guy thinks that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, no doubt. Yeah, you saw Mason Miller, the home run.
Yes. Does Mason Miller throw his changeup regularly? No, he doesn't throw his changeup regularly. I was talking to him about throwing a splinker more regularly, and actually he tried to throw it during the season. It wasn't a great one. He didn't. He just spread his fingers and threw it.
He'll come
There's
back
some
with one.
Yeah, there's some cues that he can use to really make it a nasty pitch. And if I were him, I wouldn't throw anything other. Yeah, again, he has the ability to experiment. It's no secret the A's are not making the postseason this year, Fisher. Your A's will not be making.
The A's won a stretch of 30 out of 50 games. I mean,
Yeah,
that's nothing to
I am not
sneeze at. They're
no, I'm not crapping
well,
on the A's.
well, kind of sound like you were.
No, 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 definitely not. I
The
actually like that
Sacramento
team.
A's.
Yeah.
God,
I no, I like that team. I think that they've done a lot of good things. So
absolutely.
everybody's waiting to poop on them, and then they realize it was the White Sox who should be pooped on, other than the fact that they seem to also have some pitchers that I like. Well, number
The
one,
the
the
White
man.
Sox.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
White Sox have some pitchers
I
I
mean, the
like.
commissioner's got to step in at some point.
Interesting.
Every team in baseball, except for the White Sox, has won at least 18 of their last 44 games. Okay, there's a lot of compression in the middle. They've won 4 of their last 44 games.
Hey, but that's 4.
That's 4. It's not tanking anymore because it doesn't do you much good for your pick or anything. Maybe they didn't get that memo.
No, but if they want to look forward to something for White Sox fans out there, I mean, I think Davis Martin is somebody who's jumped out at me as a potential legit pitcher. And then you have Garrett Crochet, who is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. And he proved it again, striking out the first 7 hitters and just absolutely shoving. I know they're limiting his pitches and innings. But the addition of his cutter, him being healthy, I talked to him about that at the All-Star game. He viewed it as cutter was a big key to what he's doing. But that dude just shoves. And if you can start building those little pieces in there in the next few years, maybe we can turn this team around if they spend some money. I'm looking on the bright side, Fisher. You seem to be really doubting it.
Are they publicly traded? Did you buy part of the team or something? What
Yes,
do you?
I am.
No,
I'm pumping and dumping here.
It's pretty rough.
I'm going to sell.
Right. I mean, you don't want to make the playoffs because then you're going to have to renegotiate the contract with Crochet before he plays. So that's pretty rough. That one sat there pretty hard.
Yeah, I think I totally understand why he would do that as somebody who hasn't gotten paid and is sitting there going, I'm going to risk my career. I'd love to win a championship.
They're all doing it.
But how about a little bit for me in this? At some point you got to put yourself in the player's shoes, just like I think some of the guys that, when we complain that players leave money on the table because they signed for a lower amount before they're eligible for, arbitration or whatever, they sign early in their careers, like a Spencer Strider, Acuna, Albies, those guys signing early, getting signed. You're taking some of the risk off the table for a big reward. You never know if you're going to get that big contract. And to me, is getting $20 million versus $40 million, but getting $20 million earlier, what would you do? Like if you were guaranteed 20 with a shot at 40.
Ohtani's getting $2 million. Why be greedy?
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, but he isn't having that good a year. He's not pitching, so I just ignore him.
Yeah, we're not on the East Coast, but there are people on the West Coast who are not appreciating some of the seasons for the ages. Both Ohtani and Judge are just.
Judge is ridiculous.
No American League. You're talking about Ruth and Williams, like up there when you look at the list of guys that are putting up these relative numbers. It's insane.
No, without a doubt. I would think, Judge, you watch for a guy with as big a zone as he has and who gets calls against him more than anybody else. Like umpires don't realize how big he is and will call balls below his knees, strikes. He gets hosed a lot, doesn't lose his temper, and commands the zone really well with his bat. Very poised hitter, gets his best swing on the ball a lot. And his best swing, even if he mishits it, it's going to go far because that man is a humongous dude.
Very true. Hey, 4 straight starts. Okay. 78 plus game score. We're going to go back to 1990. I know, but the only 5 guys to put 4 games like that up in a row, 4 starts. Tell me if they're any good. Randy Johnson.
He's okay.
Pedro
is definitely a good pitcher.
He's okay. Santana.
He was good. Yeah, he was good too.
Kershaw. So you're talking.
Yeah, they're all okay.
4
and then you have the GOAT.
Bowen
Francis, right? Like
insane, right?
Yes, right. Bowen Francis is better than Randy Johnson.
And we talked about it last week when people are like, that's lucky or this, that. Like, no, there's a reason this is happening. He's throwing the splitter more here and there. And that for now, it's dominant, and it's going to take some doing to undominate that.
All right, so that's what I was going to get at. Is that sustainable? Like nothing's sustainable at that level. It will taper off. But the confidence he pitches with and simplifying everything is a huge deal for some guys, and you can tell in interviews with him. And I hope to have him on the show at some point because I want to hear it from him. I'm tracking down some guys, and he's one of them.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're gonna have a good one next week. I think I need to talk to you off there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I know a good number of the teams have algorithms that help batters guess, the ones that want to guess what the guy's going to throw. So when a guy has pitched all year long and throws the splitter 5% of the time to righties, and all of a sudden is throwing it a third of the time, like it takes a little while to be like, is this real? Is he just doing it today? What's going on? So it'll be interesting to see, like, okay, he's going to throw the splitter next game. Let's see what the adjustment is.
What is my opinion of Abner Uribe? Dude has crazy stuff, and just need to see more of it. I view him like in the Justin Martinez world, like guys that you got to watch because he may do something that you're not going to see again. I mean, Justin Martinez is another guy who kind of flies under the radar for some folks because West Coast, and there's a little East Coast bias. People don't see him pitch as much, but that dude also is one of those guys that I love to watch pitch. Abner Uribe, definitely. He had, I think, my sinker of the year last year. So I definitely am a big Abner. Yeah, that he had one that was just, it blew my mind how it moved. So yeah, big fan of Abner Uribe. One of the things, so I was talking to you before about the sinker designation in Savant always drives me crazy because that's why I end up saying two-seamer a lot. And there's a reason for it because there are definitely, back in the day, I think everybody was thinking, all right, if I throw a two-seamer, I want it to sink as opposed to my four-seamer that's going to live up high in the zone and keep its plane. That isn't necessarily the predominant way it's being used now. There are sinkers that are definitely two-seamers. There are less, like Stroman throws both a two-seamer and a sinker. His sinker tends to get some gyro spin, which helps it dive, and then a true two-seamer that he wants to run arm side. And then there are guys like Hader and Uceda, who, and some other guys too. Like Minaya, I think, is another one that comes to mind. He's not necessarily looking to sink when he's throwing a two-seamer. He can live up in the zone. And I was wondering if you've noticed that too, that's a trend, maybe with some of the guys you're doing maps for.
Yeah, but I worked with Minaya for 5 years now, and he definitely pushes the envelope. Like a lot of guys, you come in, you're like, these are my 4 pitches. And if I don't have Savant categorization, I can look, that was a fastball, that was a sinker. I can tell the difference. They're in totally different pockets, totally different planes and all that. But some guys like Minaya, who is constantly tinkering with where he stands on the rubber and where his arm is and this and that, which is a bit of a challenge when you're trying to make maps for a guy. How are you going to throw today? I need to know. Sometimes you can look at a guy's fastballs, if you will, minus cutters, and go, I can't really tell what's what because it's just a big blob. Is it really 2 distinct pitches? I only use the terms when I talk to the guys once I learn what their terms are so we can communicate. But there was a trend for a long time of get your damn arm up, make sure if you're throwing it with speed, you're not running it. And, if you're going to throw a sinker, throw a damn sinker and don't stop throwing two-seamers. But no doubt you're seeing it. You talk about Hader and Minaya and these guys that are just like, screw it, I'm out horizontal. When you're letting, in fact, next week's guest might be a good example of that. But when you're letting go from, 4.5 feet off the ground instead of 6, and you're working the upper part of the zone with that thing, it's a whole nother twist on putting a bat on it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. And I guess that is one reason why the traditional way of thinking about a two-seamer as being a pitch that you're going to live down in the zone isn't necessarily what we're seeing now. You're seeing actually some guys getting incredible induced vertical break on their two-seamers. And some of it's a seam shifted wake phenomenon. It's also arm slot related, but it's one of those reasons why I think the designation of sinker probably needs a little bit more thought, because when you call something as, I can't in good faith call something a sinker that is intended to live above the zone. Like that just is not the way I'm going to call. Like a sinker is something that sinks.
Right. You got guys that average a foot of rise, if you will,
Yes.
with their sinker. It's like, well, that's not
It's
not
not
what
a
that is.
sinker.
But for me, my problem is if that guy calls it a sinker and we're talking,
Yeah.
I have to, even though I don't like the term and talk about it to you as a sinker, I have to talk about it to him as a sinker. So it's
Sure.
it's a whole nother damn layer. That might sound simple, but it's not.
It's not. We can come up with
Yeah.
a better name for it though. And even better than two-seamer, because two-seamer to me, I call things two-seamers mostly when I want to discuss the horizontal break or run on the pitch, because that's the way I view a two-seamer. I'm not calling it a sinker because I'm not talking about the sink on it. I'm not talking about a Logan Webb sinker.
Yes.
Who has a real sinker.
Right. And look where it's coming from.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's another one of your dudes. I did talk about Justin Martinez. I see that question. I love Justin Martinez. I think he has thrown some of the most ridiculous pitches I've seen all year, especially some of his splitters. His splitter is an absolute weapon, and the dude throws 102. He's an electric dude with an electric personality. He's a guy that is only going to get better, I think, as he understands what he's doing, but he's already really good.
Yeah, I watched him the other day. His demeanor was interesting.
He's a confident dude.
He is, and there were some bad outcomes, and it was just interesting. Like you might read it for not caring, but it's not that. It's just like, look, the guy hit it. I'm on to the next guy. So interesting guy to watch, and I mean, tons of talent for sure, no doubt.
Yeah. By the way, how do you handicap right now the NL Cy Young race? I know I'm just bringing this on you. I would imagine it's Sales to lose, but Wheeler's last outing looked really good. And I'm seeing postseason Wheeler come. Like postseason Wheeler is a whole nother animal than anybody. That dude is a proven ace in the postseason. Both he and Nola, the dynamic duo postseason, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's not supposed to matter though, right?
Huh?
Postseason performances.
Thanks, Patrick. Another is not a word. Patrick isn't a name.
What?
He's saying another is not a word. It's in a whole nother category.
Oh, I thought you said another mother, brother from another mother or something.
No, I'm just appreciating his comment. Real time grammar Naziing.
Jeez, I know. It's
off
Labor
with
Day,
his
man.
head.
Cool off.
Yeah, chill your jets, Patrick.
Jeez. Thanks for joining.
You're just waiting for that.
The funny thing is, I don't know. I will agree. If you look at Wheeler's numbers from certain angles, you're like, we're not being fair. He's right there with them. But then you look from other angles, and you're like, no. It's Sale. I think all things considered, it's Sale.
Who do you think? Who had your breakout outing this week? Who had your best outing?
The best. Well, yeah, Manaya's was pretty good yesterday.
Yes.
Fromber had a good one.
He faced Garrett Crochet, who had a pretty good outing himself.
Crochet had a pretty good one. It's tough to watch that when you know they're going to lose.
You're so down. I still can enjoy watching it. Come on. Started the game with 7 consecutive strikeouts.
I'm not bitter at all. 3 years ago, they were like, yeah, help our pitchers. And now it's like,
I have a White Sox jersey on my wall over here that you can't see. It's from the Field of Dreams game.
That's not a word. Sorry, seems to be a thing. How did you, I know you were down this week. A couple of things happened that really made you feel your age a little bit. I know I did too. And you doing okay? I know. One of them we know was, wait a second. The saves leader for the Cleveland franchise, the all-time career saves leader, is 26 years old.
Yeah. We
have kids older than that.
Yep.
Come on. And then
you have underwear older than that.
Yeah, actually. And then, Rich Hill's out there were like, he's so old. Oh my God, look at him go. And like, he was born in the 80s. My God.
Yeah. baseball's better with Rich Hill in it. I don't care what.
Absolutely.
Like he should
No,
pitch
absolutely.
until he should pitch until he's 80. That'd be awesome. I like Rich Hill. Dick Mountain, great dude.
Oh yeah.
He
20
actually
years.
threw some nasty pitches too. There were a couple of sweepers. I don't know if he's calling them sweepers because that's way too new of a term for
It's
Rich
a
Hill.
Rich Hill, right? Right.
But good old Dick Mountain had some that were breaking 2 feet, and yeah, you can see why. He's a useful pitcher.
Well, yeah. I'm glad there was a spot there for him. I'm not sure if we're gonna see a ton more of them, but we'll see.
Good question here. How do you feel about different arm slots becoming more prevalent or more mainstream? I think it's the ball game right there. Like that is learning how to use your arm slot to the best of your ability, and that's some of the stuff you focus on. I'll let you handle this because your
Absolutely.
maps are very dependent on it.
Yeah, and talking to guys. I can't even stress how big that is, that every guy's different, not just his mentality, but his physicality. And does he have a good link between what he can do and what he thinks he can do? There are guys where I'm like, dude, if you can just move over an inch and get your arm up an inch and this and that, and it just unwinds them, and it just goes to hell and it kills their command. And they're like, I can't change what I'm doing that little bit. And other guys are like, I could throw a pitch. I'm a pitcher. I could throw a pitch however I want to pitch. I could change it by a foot. It doesn't matter. And some of them are right and some of them are wrong. Some of them shouldn't do that. So yeah, if you changing anybody has always been viewed as a risk. And I think with some guys, it is a legitimate one. And you got to really watch it. And I am always hesitant to bring it up. But other guys are just like, dude, I've changed, so many times, it's no big deal. So,
yeah, I mean, there are guys that do it in the middle of the game. Bassett throws multiple arm slots at you.
right.
Rich Hill does it. Nestor does it. But there are other guys who slightly do it, and they'll throw different pitches out of different arm slots fairly consistently and get away with it. Like we always hear, you've got to repeat your mechanics because that's what hitters pick up on. A lot of times I'm seeing, especially when I'm doing overlays, I can tell that the release points are pretty different. I mean, you'll see someone drop their arm on their sweeper or something to get a little bit more movement, and they don't really pay that much of a price on it because these guys are moving pretty quick. It's not that easy to pick it up. It's not like they're throwing submarine one time and over the top another time. I also don't know. I mean, I've looked at some correlation of injuries and stuff. I think that is overrated potentially. I don't think that is throwing, there's no saying that throwing over the top causes fewer injuries. Like I know people like to think that, but there are some people who, I mean, it's all just how you're built a lot of times, how much mileage you have on your arm. And then sometimes,
I know plenty of guys who have hurt themselves trying to exaggerate their arm to get it up more. So
right.
It's just the change. And if you've thrown a certain way for 5 years and then you decide you're going to alter your slides, like, just watch what you're doing.
All right. Well, I want to touch on one other thing. Looking at somebody like switch teams. So you have Michael Kopech, for example, and I know you love the White Sox, and he took him away from the White Sox and went to a team on the other coast, on your coast, the Los Angeles Dodgers. When you switch teams like that, to me, the table stakes, the easiest way to get better performance from somebody is you've looked at what they've done all year. You look at their pitch mix and you say, hey, you know what? We're not throwing that anymore. Do what they did with what the Astros did with Kikuchi, which is basically you're throwing fewer curveballs. You're throwing more sliders. Your slider's a better pitch. Your curveball's getting hammered. So this is what we're going to do. Versus tinkering, we were talking about just changing mechanics and wanting to change something. That's a harder thing to do, especially in season. And it's harder to know whether it's going to take. It's a lot easier to say, dude, you're great, but I'm going to have you shift your focus. You're going to throw your fastball only up. We're going to set up down the middle. You're going to let it eat. And then you're going to let your slider eat. And that's it versus what you were trying to do, hit spots or whatever. The Rays have done really well doing that. I think the Dodgers do well doing that. What do you think about that? Like when guys have switched teams that you've worked with, what's the biggest way that people help them?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting dynamic because I'm often saying things to teams aren't. With the Dodgers, it was really, I actually heard about this, but it was really like, let's look at the things that work instead of saying what doesn't. Focus on that. We'll sit down and alter this later, but you have a track record. We know that this is a fundamentally hard pitch to throw. And oh yeah, let's put on a Dodger uniform instead of a White Sox uniform. That's worth something. It really is. And, it was almost like a reboot,
I do think it's worth something because the other thing is you're pitching for a team where you're expected to perform at a high level. Your focus is going to be different. You're thrown in there with a lot of with superstars, and there's a little bit more forgiveness too, right? Like if you don't have a good outing, they've seen done that and they can pick you up. Whereas on another team, they may not be able to pick you up as much.
Right. You have a bad day. There's always another game to play.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like me and you doing this. Like when you have your inevitable off day, you know that you're with a superstar, and it's very easy to just turn in the performance because I can always pick you up.
That's true.
During the broadcast.
That's true. Or on holidays where you're trying out the bad puns and it's just going flat. I'm here for you.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, hey, you might want to try another way of doing it. That's a word, right? Another. Paul Sewald, someone's asking a question about Paul Sewald. What are your thoughts on Paul Sewald?
I mean, that's pretty rough what they said to him. They're like, well, Sewald's not going to close anymore. We don't really know who will, which we're really just saying, but it sure as hell isn't going to be him. It's tough. It's tough to have that in your head. He's such a competitor. Known him for a while. There's a lot going on there, but man, he's going to be his best when he knows teams behind him. So that's pretty rough.
Hey, honey, I don't want to see you anymore. Yeah, I don't know who I'm going to go with, but it's definitely not going to be you.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, they literally did that. So
yeah, that's mean.
Yeah.
But maybe truthful too. I like the way he pitched. I think he is a competitor. And he showed a different way of getting things done. Like a lot of people listen, they're like, how are you doing this? It's a unique fastball, unique way of throwing
it. Which has changed over the years. When I first met him, it was like straight, it was a sinker slider, one way or the other, and it's interesting to look at these guys and go, I know you've pitched like this forever and you're getting a big league salary out of it. And, you'll have a decent career and all that stuff. But what happens if you change something or add something, you could change who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. One other guy I wanted to touch on real quick, and in the minor leagues right now, but a guy that I've been following I've been following his pitching ability since he was
you're going to say
10 years old. Kumar Rocker. We had a legendary battle at 10 in Cooperstown where my kid and he were pitching against each other and we won. He remembers that. When I've talked to him, he was like, oh yeah, I totally remember that. Giant kid then, still a giant dude, but it is so much fun to watch him now putting it all together like you knew he would. Like watching him at Vandy was one of those guys, like I was so sure he was going to be a stud. I remember when the Mets didn't end up signing him. I was like, dude, just prove them wrong. And he's like, nothing else you can do. Just going to do it. So, right. And he is looking really good. How do you think he plays at the next level? How does his stuff play?
The signs are good. The stats I've seen are good, good metrics. And more importantly, like here's something that happened to a kid that's had it good his whole life, just excelled and then hit a brick wall. And that can stop if you've never dealt with it, that can end your career right there. He could just be mid forever, but there's not a sign of that. It looks like you said, it looks like he's using this as motivation. So I hope that's true. Actually, I'd love if we could talk to him, and I'm sure it'd be evident a couple minutes into a conversation with him.
Yeah, no, he's a very confident in his abilities dude, and you're seeing that. Yeah, he should be. Like his breaking stuff has always been unhittable. And his fastball characteristics seem to be getting a little better. He's throwing it 100. So he and Jack Leiter are going to potentially make a really solid pair of guys, along with some other guys they have on that team.
Right. I need to talk to Jack in the off season. We've gone back and forth. I need to connect it because there's a path there for him. He should already be up and stayed up. So
Well, I mean, his fastball's looking. He rounded up to 100 last outing, and I'm seeing the confident Jack Leiter come back. It's very easy to get like it's the most humbling sport. It's crazy. You can know you're good, and then all of a sudden have confidence issues, and you know that as much as anybody because you talk to. I mean, the guys that you've talked to, you've turned some dudes around.
Right.
Not everybody can be as confident as Liam Hendricks, who also had to get confident too. Like, back in the day, he wasn't even throwing that hard. Then he realized, hey, maybe I should throw hard.
Yeah, maybe you should throw hard. And then maybe we can, I mean, he got to where he would call after every unwanted outcome, like, what do you think? And sometimes it would say, that pitch sucked. And don't ever do that again. But it wasn't that usually. It was more like, wait, you just threw 99 with good characteristics at literally the very top of the zone. I'm sorry, what are you not going to do that? You can't. Oh, he guessed. People can guess that all day. You can guess that all day. I mean, don't go away from your strengths just because someone stuck a bat out and hit a ball hard. I mean, you just got to really dig into it and look. It wouldn't be blue there if it was a bad pitch.
Don't go changing to try to please me.
Find another pitch.
No,
it's not a word.
Yeah. There you go. No, but Liam's like one of the all-time dudes in terms of confidence.
I cannot wait till he comes back. He's getting closer. He was shooting for this year.
Why
I don't think they have a strong motivation to do it. He does.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Red Sox are going to be throwing him out there because they'd like him to pitch for him next year. I'd love to have him and Gio back on the Red Sox healthy next year.
Gio's another guy that you can tell when he's locked in. He does that little head bop thing and he starts talking to himself and just you can see that look on his face when he's feeling it. And those are, it's just some of the guys you can read like a book and other guys you can't see kind of anything when you're watching them.
He makes good decisions most of the time. I don't think the hat he wore when we had him on with Liam was a good decision.
The aloe or what was that hat? Yeah.
Whoops.
When Liam said it was either SpaceX or a penis. That's what he said.
Or a penis. Yeah. Don't do that.
I was there
on the call.
Yeah. Right. But then again, when you have Liam on the call, all bets are off.
It's going to go crazy. Right.
Any other topics you want to discuss, Fish, or I'll let you go on with your day?
No, that's it. I'm just mostly watching, thrilled that, it'd be crazy if we had a guy win the Triple Crown of not just
major
league pitching, but the major league Triple Crown.
Yeah. And it could be either Tarik Skubal or Chris Sale. Like either one, they both have the inside track on winning their league, but either could win the major league Triple Crown. And I like both of them. So I'm not going to tell you which one I'd pick. I do have a bias, at least for the NL Cy Young, of a Chris Sale over Zach Wheeler, because I want to see Chris Sale get into the Hall of Fame. And I think that is a check the box thing, that if he does that helps his chances a lot. You need that trophy.
I think he deserves it too. That all aside, he deserves it at this point. But it could change.
Yeah, I love Zach Wheeler though. So Zach Wheeler deserves everything he gets. Great pitcher, fantastic. Sale, all-time competitor, and one of those guys that I've always liked pitching because of that. Like, he's very easy to read. When he gets pissed off, you can see it on his face, and he's kind of always pissed off, which I like. I like my pitchers shoving.
Right. So I'll ask you a question since you asked me some. This is a tough one. You got 4 weeks left. You got 8 teams within 5 games of each other for the best record. Who's going to end the regular season with the best record? Take your time.
Dodgers.
Think so?
Yeah, I think so. That would be my guess.
Least distance to go to get there because they're already there.
Yeah, I think,
and they've done it despite all this craziness. So
yeah,
you didn't have Mookie for how long? I
know, like some of these teams. You look at what these teams have navigated, and I just wonder if that makes you even a better. if that makes you better for the postseason, that you've had to go through some of that. I know
Right.
fighting up until the end does seem to matter. Like if you have a layoff or you're just wind down and then it's harder to get wound back up a little bit. At least it seems that way. Who knows? But yeah, I just think that what they've had to battle through is amazing. If you look at the guys that they don't have, and then you see, what they've done. Same thing. I mean, the Braves have done that. If the Braves get there, I think the Braves are a tough out in the postseason. The question is if they get there, because I think if pitching matters, which it does in the postseason, they
Right.
have some guys that nobody wants to face. There is not a single team that wants to face Chris Sale in an elimination game. They just don't, because he
Right.
will leave his arm out there, or as he famously said, I left my nuts out there. And that is what he will do, because that is who Chris Sale is, and he's having an all-time year for him. So, yeah, like I think they have guys that would shove, but they're nowhere near certain to make it. The Dodgers are certain to make it.
Which is kind of an argument against maybe they won't empty the tanks in September to win every game they can win, because they want their damn pitchers the pitchers that they still have that can pitch in the postseason to actually be available. So it'd be interesting to see if they come off the gas where they go, no, we really want the home field advantage in the World Series. I mean, it's not a minor thing.
What would you pick?
Ooh,
Who would you
boy. It's just crazy how every team has just these huge flaws. It's like, I mean, like you were looking at the Orioles a month ago going, I don't know, man, the Orioles might be the best team or whatever. And then just everybody got like the Royals were coming in like a buzzsaw. And you're like, they might just keep going.
And the
then they go
Yankees,
flat. The Twins went flat. The Yankees wobbled. I mean, they're not doing badly. It's just everybody's winning half their games. And it's like, what's going on?
I'm still waiting for Carlos Rodon to go on a run, because I know what a competitor that guy is too. Love watching him throw. I mean, it's not like he's having a god for him. It's not a great year, but for a normal guy, it's a solid year. And I think he's this close to doing it. Like it wouldn't surprise me to see him have a big postseason.
Nope. Still has plenty of blue in his maps. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
There's plenty there. It'd be hard not to say the Dodgers just because of that, but I don't know organizationally how much they want it. So,
well, this may be I think we've talked about this before, but who has the bluest maps? Like, just if you were looking at them, like who jumps out at you? Like, or either somebody that nobody's thinking of who really looks ridiculous, or somebody who just everybody's thinking of that looks ridiculous.
Well, I mean, DeGroms were
absurd.
They look like syntax errors where you're like, this is so blue. This is like almost black. It's so blue. It's like, but it really is like especially the year when he's like, screw it, I'm going 80% of the time to that side of the plate. I'm just going to abuse people, and had phenomenal results because he could put it wherever in that area over and over and over. And they were fundamentally tough pitches. So that's pretty blue. When you're seeing bluer than that ever, it can be on, let's just say a nasty sweeper in a certain spot. It's like, okay, it's blue there, but this guy can't hit that 10% of the time. It's just blue if he does.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. But DeGrom was in his blue and had dark blue. He's the first one I think
like
of.
Shohei would be pretty.
He had less than it felt like when you watched him, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But every pitch was pretty rough to.
And I would imagine Skubal's probably pretty good too. Like,
yeah, I need to run him again. I haven't looked at his in probably a couple weeks now. He had kind of a couple of outings, and we set the bar so high for him,
and then he's right back to being like, there's just a little, you just run into the little downer part of the season.
Right. Bowen Francis. Yeah, we talked about him already.
Yeah, like absolutely. Bowen Francis, absolute stud. And just watch it. Like, keep watching him. It's getting to be like Bowen Francis is a must-watch pitcher, and I love it. Like, give me the guy that develops it. Again, we talked about it last time, I think, but it was like when Cole Reagans burst on the scene. You're like, this is real, and this is going to be who this guy is. Obviously, it was easier to envision what Cole Reagans does because of the velo. And Bowen Francis isn't a amazingly high velo guy, But a lot of it
Right.
is confidence and giving the chance to do it.
Yeah, you don't usually see that kind of pitch mix difference when a guy doesn't change teams. It's July or August. You're not going to see some guy go from, double or triple his splitter usage, but he did, and it was the right move. It's not a fluke what's happened so far. It's not. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens from here. I mean,
right,
obviously, if
because the
you're
league
facing him
makes
the next game, you
adjustments.
got to be aware that this is a real change now. That's still a pretty good pitch.
Yeah. The
I
league,
mean, people have been sitting on Kevin Gosman's splitter for how many years, and guys laughing all the way to his 9-figure salary or
yes.
contract. So, I mean,
Cobb had a great outing. Like
yeah,
Cobb is
just
absolutely
stay
nasty,
healthy.
and he looked really good that last
Yeah.
outing. His command was good, throwing his pitches where he wanted to. I like the dude too. He's a funny guy.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me crap at the
Corny.
All-Star game for oh
Oh, God.
oh Fisher. That was terrible.
I win.
You went there. Yeah. You win for the worst pun
I
of the
won.
day.
Yeah, the one we weren't trying to play.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, just stay healthy, Alex Cobb. He's always been a tremendous pitcher. He goes back to when was he hanging out with? He was on his team with Straley. We talked a long time ago. So much talent.
Yeah, he's really good, and I
Alex
think he
Cobb.
flies under the radar a lot.
Absolutely.
His splitter looks fake. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of splitters like this. We called it that the splitters were going to be the next big thing. It became really obvious as, again, the Gosman interview we had just launched 1 million splitters, but people are learning from everybody and really the main area where people are coming out of it in Japan, splitters are the thing. Like that is a national pitch. And you see so many good ones there, so many variations. And now you're seeing on teams in Major League Baseball where it's not like a team has the Blue Jays splitter, for example. The Blue Jays have a lot of different versions of splitters. They do not all throw Kevin Gosman's splitter, but they all throw nasty splitters. And it just depends on your arm slot, your fingers, how you release the ball, whether you can do it right. I think the Mariners have almost standardized on their splitter, and they have a set of very nasty splitters, but they have that finger curl that they do. And, it just depends on the team.
Yeah, it's been really topical with a lot of guys I work with who don't throw splitters. I mean, we always have off-season talks about, have you thought about adding this pitch or that pitch? But this is by far the most often I've heard guys during the year saying, I'm throwing this on the side. It's so close. I'm just not ready to throw it yet. But you're gonna see it increase next year, which is insane.
Don't be surprised if Mason Miller starts throwing a splitter. That's all.
No, he will. He will.
Yeah, he will.
I won't be surprised at all.
And
it's
then
just, I mean,
the world will end.
Right. Maybe we need to re-show the Gosman one. I mean, I heard there was like a fourth generation. This guy, who was it? This guy said, I heard it from this guy who heard it from Kirby, who heard it from Gosman. Like,
right. No, yeah, Kirby got it from watching the interview with Gosman on the channel and then started throwing it. Then they varied it because they talked to Maeda, who gets his finger out of the way. He's like, this is a good way to get your splitter, do what you want. And then they all started bending their finger, curling their index finger on their splitter. So it's kind of interesting. The Astros, what has been there? Ronel Blanco, by the way, is number 5 in the major leagues right now in ERA, and literally nobody's talking about him. Like, he's quietly been really good. Fromber has been freaking outstanding. Having Verlander back, big deal. And Spencer Arguetti is legit. Like, he is legit filthy.
Their pitching as a whole, bullpen and starters are like, eesh. That's
nobody wants to face that team.
Right.
Yeah, I think Ronel Blanco is an underrated ace to me. Like, I've never been all in on Blanco because I tend to like a little bit more velo and a little bit, but he can pitch. Like, dude is a good pitcher, and it's proven this year. He is somebody that everybody's sleeping on. He's got like, what, a 3.03 ERA, something like that.
Yeah. He was actually. I was looking this morning at some numbers. I was trying to find a couple guys like, hey, I'm surprised by that number, even though I look at numbers all the time. And he was one of them. Like, I didn't know his numbers were that good for the season. I kind of felt like it wobbled a little. What was the other one? Was Mason Wynn on the Cardinals? Like, good guy.
Great name.
Over 4 wins above replacement on Baseball Reference. Like 4? Like more than Skeens? Like what?
Again,
what's going on there?
WAR for pitchers can be a crapshoot. Sometimes I don't use them I use them to back up arguments I have sometimes, but I don't view them as the
only
way
when
that
it's making your argument, right?
Only when it's making my argument, because I think that there are some quirks in there that you can use, the different ways we measure it. And I just like my eye test works better a lot of times than that, although sometimes it doesn't. Like it will help me find guys that I should have been focusing on, but I'm not a pitching WAR guy necessarily. It's a tool in my toolbox, not the tool in my toolbox.
Oh yeah.
And the Cubs have one of the best pitching rotations. I mean, I don't know if I'm not all in on that. I think they can be good. I love Shota Imanaga. I think he is he's for real. Tyone is a good pitcher. Assad for his low velo, good. But I don't know. You're calling them one of the best pitching rotations?
No.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not either.
I know why that's, well, probably a Cubs fan, but I know why you could say that. Like you could see, you could see it. Like it could be, It could be.
It could be.
It's just not.
Yeah. I don't think they're there. I mean, they're in the top 30. That
was mean.
No, I mean, I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying like
that sounded
one of means
like it.
Somewhere in there.
Don't backtrack.
No, I don't.
It's not like you.
I don't
it's not like you.
the
Don't
Cubs
backtrack.
pitchers at all. I like I watch every.
You're getting your Chicago rips in. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm
top 15.
Again, I probably am disproportionately a fan of the White Sox pitching. I'm the only probably one that sits there and goes, you know what? I kind of like watching Davis Martin pitch.
No, I do.
I think his changeup.
Yeah.
As a huge changeup fan, Davis Martin is a changeup that everybody should be watching.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. Gavin Williams' comment, 100%, totally right. Gavin Williams will figure this out. He is a horse, dude. Absolutely throws heat and his nasty stuff. A great makeup on the bump. I've said that on my daily show regularly. I'm a big Gavin Williams fan.
Predictable and working in bad spots. I'll codify.
Yeah. I mean, that's there you
Whoa,
go.
What's that?
Pick up the phone.
Wow, that escalated quickly.
Tarik Skubal can have all our kids. It's Tarik Skubal. Anyway, good talking to you again, Mr. Fisher. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. We'll do this again, especially when the postseason comes. I've got to go review my daily video now. Until next week.
Take care. Let's have a good guest next week.
There you go.
You're going to love it.